The strongest one there is, the largest lawyer in the courtroom. If the Hulk and She-Hulk threw down, which green Goliath would come out on top? As we've witnessed through multiple MCU outings, raw strength does not always determine a winner at battle. Still, it doesn't hurt. Fans are given an idea of how strong She-Hulk is relative to regular Hulk when the two powerhouses go toe-to-toe during the first episode of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Bruce Banner, in his Professor Hulk form, tries to convince his cousin that her new powers should be used for the good of the world, but Jennifer isn't interested in becoming a superhero. An argument ensues, and when Jennifer loses her temper, she transforms into She-Hulk and throws the first punch, initiating her first superpowered throwdown. Both Hulks land some big blows during this fight, with Professor Hulk launching his cousin through the air and She-Hulk breaking the Avengers' glasses, which only serves to make him even angrier. It's entertaining, but it doesn't give any definitive answers in terms of strength. She-Hulk is still new to the whole Hulk thing, and Professor Hulk is clearly holding back, yet the scene does show that She-Hulk can at least hold her own against the Avenger, matching him blow for blow, hurting him more than once. She isn't afraid to play a little dirty, stomping on his foot and even running him over with a car. Sometimes it takes nimbleness, speed, and balance to gain the upper hand in a fight. Unfortunately for Hulk, he's lacking in this department. A brute beast, Bruce Banner's alter ego has historically relied entirely on his ability to throw the most brutal punches.
And Hulk. Smash.
Though he has been known to jump from building to building in the past, Hulk is about as far from Spider-Man as a hero can be. She-Hulk does not gain the same lumbering, muscle-bound physique as her cousin when she transforms. Her physicality does improve dramatically, however, which makes for better reflexes and balance. As shown during the first episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, she naturally becomes a skilled acrobat, quickly outdoing her powerful relative. When the two square up, prepared to battle, Walters appears much more poised and nimbler than the bulky and lumbering Hulk. While Banner is a lot faster since his two personalities merged to become Professor Hulk, he's nowhere near as nimble as She-Hulk. Which Hulk has won the most fights? One would think that this would be no contest, considering Bruce Banner has been smashing his way through the MCU since 2008. Unfortunately, Hulk's track record in the MCU is not quite as good as one would expect. In fact, audiences have witnessed the big green monster lose more often than not. Hulk was convincingly defeated by Thanos in Avengers Infinity War. And before that, he got a beatdown courtesy of Tony Stark and his Hulkbuster suit in Avengers Age of Ultron. There's also his near loss to the titular God of Thunder in Thor Ragnarok to consider. Hulk hasn't really won a superhuman battle since throwing Loki around like a ragdoll in 2012's The Avengers. She-Hulk is still a rookie contender who doesn't seem interested in fighting anyone outside of the courtroom. Still, in her first real test against Titania in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, she wins easily. If it weren't for the largely overlooked early MCU entry, The Incredible Hulk, starring Edward Norton in the lead role instead of Mark Ruffalo, the Hulks would have near equal records. There is no argument that Bruce Banner is one of the most intelligent Marvel characters. A renowned scientist, he casually mentions to Thor that he has 7 PhDs during Thor Ragnarok. Beyond his education, Banner has been an integral partner to Tony Stark during multiple Avengers movies, assisting in the construction of Ultron and the time machine utilized in Avengers Endgame. It's not just his post-transformation muscles that are huge. He arguably has the biggest brain in the whole MCU.
Well, if he could do that, he could achieve heavy ion fusion at any reactor on the planet.
Finally, someone who speaks English. Is that what just happened?
However, as Jennifer Walters states early in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, Banner is not the only genius in the family. A highly competent lawyer, Walters may not have the credentials that her cousin boasts, but she knows the law like the back of her big green hand and can more than hold her own in a courtroom. Walters consistently takes clever jabs at Banner and his alter ego, proving that her wit is a match for his. As her MCU series proves, She-Hulk often comes out on top when arguing with her cousin. A significant factor that deserves consideration is who a combatant has in their corner. Iron Man would have never been Thanos without the help of the Avengers. Spider-Man could not have defeated Norman Osborn without Spider-Man. and even a Hulk needs backup once in a while. When it comes to Hulk versus She-Hulk, it's doubtful that any MCU heroes would put themselves in the middle of a family dispute. However, a good ally is always worth having in your corner. In the comics, She-Hulk easily wins the friendship round, being the ally and resident attorney of many Marvel heroes, including the Fantastic Four and Captain Marvel. Meanwhile, Hulk has been on the wrong side of so many heroes that the Illuminati exiled him from Earth. It's still early in She-Hulk's MCU career, but it should be easy for her to make some superhero friends quickly. It's already confirmed that characters such as Wong and Daredevil will appear in She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Meanwhile, the MCU version of Hulk has been a staple of the Avengers lineup since the inaugural film in 2012. While trying to decide who would win in a fight between She-Hulk and Hulk, it's worth looking at how a battle between Jennifer Walters and Bruce Banner would pan out. Hulk in human form is not much of a combatant. Unlike other original Avengers, Banner never gained hand-to-hand combat training and is often portrayed as a little timid. Sure, he impressively defeated Cull Obsidian during Avengers Infinity War, but that fight would not have lasted very long without Tony Stark's Hulkbuster outfit. Keeping things equal, Jennifer Walters is not a highly trained combatant. She's a successful lawyer dedicated to her career. Still, she's much more confident than her meek scientist cousin. Based on the relationship showcased in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, we suspect that Walters regularly came out on top during childhood familial roughhousing. And if the two were to fight without their hulking abilities, there's reason to believe that Walters would take the win. If the influx of superhero shows and movies has proven anything, it's that you need someone on your super team who packs a mighty punch. In the comics, a version of the Hulk has often been part of the Avengers lineup. In fact, he was part of the very first lineup. However, deciding who to recruit becomes difficult when choosing between a raging giant beast and a composed powerhouse. In the case of Hulk, he's as strong as they come and can take on some of the biggest challenges. Unfortunately, his penchant for flying off the handle and causing more destruction than good can become more of a burden than anything else. Conversely, She-Hulk is a woman who keeps her composure, most of the time at least, and she can deliver blows of near equal strength to her powerful cousin. Plus, Jennifer Walters has the added bonus of being an established lawyer. While it's always nice to have a physicist around, having someone who can take care of legal business in your squad certainly sounds more promising. Both Hulk and She-Hulk have been part of the Marvel collection for decades. She-Hulk first appeared in 1980 with her self-titled comic book. Her relation to Bruce Banner helped her quickly befriend many superheroes, and she soon became a member of teams like the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and the Defenders. She-Hulk became a fan favorite thanks to her comedy stylings that often featured her breaking the fourth wall long before Deadpool made it cool. And in the early 90s, there was almost a She-Hulk movie starring Brigitte Nielsen, as well as a couple of proposed television shows. Alternatively, Hulk was first introduced in 1962 and has remained a shining part of the Marvel roster since. The character has become one of the most popular superheroes globally. While the word Hulk predates the Marvel comics, it has become part of the English lexicon for someone losing control of their temper or hulking out, spawning multiple comic titles, TV shows, movies, video games, and plenty of other merchandise. The original comic series, The Incredible Hulk, has hundreds of issues. While She-Hulk has some clout, she will always be a variant of the original and may never reach the same level of popularity. In a fight between She-Hulk and Hulk, this is the ultimate question. What is more powerful, pure anger or self-control? It's this factor that differentiates the two combatants. Hulk is a synonym for rage. It is his anger that not only triggers his monstrous transformation, but fuels him during battle. Not often explored in the MCU, Hulk's strength is basically limitless. As the angrier he is, the stronger he gets.
No, sorry, I just get so angry all the time. Hulk always angry.
On the other hand, She-Hulk has similar capabilities, and her rage can cause her to become more dangerous. However, the fact that Jennifer Walters has more control over her alter ego arguably makes her a more formidable warrior. As is pointed out during the first episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, being a woman probably puts Walters leagues ahead of Banner in the self-control department.
The triggers are anger and fear.
Those are like the baseline of any woman just existing.
All right, then.
Where Hulk can fly off the handle and become an unstoppable beast with near unparalleled strength, She-Hulk has the patience and capability to remain at the steering wheel. Of course, she can also become a total rage monster, but she has more choice in the matter. Being able to maintain a cool head in a fight against her rash and unruly cousin might just be the deciding factor. Inarguably, one of the best toe-to-toe throwdowns in the history of the MCU is Hulk vs. Thanos in Avengers Infinity War. The fight highlighted just how powerful the purple foe was, while causing such damage to Hulk's ego that it took years for the mean green fighting machine to recuperate. That's why Bruce Banner had to use the Hulkbuster armor to fight Cull Obsidian later in the movie. The Hulk refused to surface, but what if it had been She-Hulk aboard that Asgardian ship as opposed to her cousin? Would the result have been any different? As seen in Avengers Endgame, female heroes have fared much better than their male counterparts when facing Thanos. Scarlet Witch and Captain Marvel both held their own against the Mad Titan. Just like her cousin, She-Hulk would have no doubt managed to get in some strong blows using the element of surprise. Unfortunately, Thanos is just too powerful to be defeated by any one Avenger alone. Walters would have likely suffered the same dreadful beating the Hulk took, although she may have been aware enough to avoid the one-on-one fight altogether. The real question should be, would She-Hulk have been capable of donning the Infinity Gauntlet and performing the same snap her cousin did, bringing back half of the universe's occupants? She has the blood of the Hulk pumping through her veins, so there's nothing to say that she couldn't withstand such a thing. Hulk vs. She-Hulk would no doubt be a battle for the ages, a real drop-down, drag-out of a fight that nobody would forget in a hurry. The hits and destruction would probably resemble the intense bout between Hulk and Thor in Thor Ragnarok. However, it's safe to say that this fight would be much more personal. Whatever caused these combatants to throw blows would no longer matter in the heat of the moment, as each would want to prove that they are the strongest Hulk there is. She-Hulk would use her wits, her speed, and her mobility to gain a strategic advantage over her enormous cousin. Her more agile frame would allow her to dodge the Hulk's powerful but easily telegraphed attacks. Still, it only takes one of those blows to land, and the longer the fight went on, the angrier and therefore stronger the Hulk would become. While his blows would be slower and fewer, they would land much harder. And on top of that, Bruce Banner's alter ego surely remembers the embarrassment served to him at the hands of Thanos. The Hulk would not want to lose another big fight, especially to his newcomer cousin. As impressive as She-Hulk is, she would have a hard time keeping the Hulk down.